It's Michael Popok, Legal AF. When Donald Trump doesn't like to be gagged in a courtroom, he doesn't just take an appeal of the decision, he sues the trial judge as well. And he's done it once again. Judge Engoron, the civil fraud case judge presiding over it as the trier of fact, who gagged Donald Trump and his lawyers not once but twice and fined Donald Trump twice. Not only did they run the Trump lawyers into the Intermediate Appellate Court for New York and Manhattan, the First Department Appellate Division, and try to get a stay, which we reported on just yesterday, of the gag order, which they were able to convince one administrative justice of the appellate division temporarily to stay the gag order until full briefing in front of a full 5-person panel of the appellate division. Not only did he do that, but he sued Judge Engoron under Article 78 of New York law, which is an attempt generally to compel an administrative officer, or in this case, a judge, to do something by what's called a writ of mandamus. Let me break it down for you. Now, some of you might be scratching your head saying, Popok, didn't you already tell us about an Article 78 lawsuit that was filed in September by Donald Trump and his lawyers and against this very same Judge Engoron? And didn't you also tell us that it was dismissed by the Trumpers when they saw the writing on the wall that they would lose? And the answer to that is yes. This is another lawsuit requiring Judge Engoron to be represented by the Attorney General's office as a named defendant in the case. And what they're trying to do with the latest petition under Article 78 is to get, not only is to get that mistrial, this is like reinforcing behavior or conduct by Trump, to double down on their attempt to get Engoron off as the trial judge, despite the fact there's been 6 or 7 full weeks of trial already conducted in front of him, and there's no jury. He's the only person as the trier of fact, along with his staff, making decisions about all of the evidence and will ultimately enter a ruling. The chances at this late stage in a game, based on their ridiculous, beyond the pale attacks on courtroom staff, on law clerks, on Judge Engoron, the ticky-tack things that they're pointing out is not enough to remove a judge. Just because you don't like a judge or you think the judge isn't ruling in your favor is not grounds to remove the judge. Lord knows if I was able to remove judges that I didn't particularly like on a case, I would have do that in a heartbeat, but that's not the standard. And if you're a lawyer who practices regularly in this courtrooms, and Donald Trump's lawyers are not lawyers who practice regularly in the New York courtrooms the way I do, then you would know that. But instead, it makes great press, and you get to suck the air out of the room and change the weather of the media reporting and act like you're tough. But the reality is they're just trying to remove Engoron on grounds that don't exist. And so to double down on that, they figure, well, why don't we sue the old guy instead? We'll sue him personally and argue to the appellate court that he's overstepped his boundaries, that he is partial, that he's not fair, he's not impartial, he doesn't have judicial decorum, his temperament, we don't like his personality. One day he showed up with a tie we didn't like. His wife posts things we don't like on her social media. His law clerk ran for a judgeship and she's a Democrat. We don't like that either. They sit too close together. I don't know. We got the tuna salad was rancid on Wednesday. All of these types of ridiculous bases that will not prevail. Now, they were successful. I don't blow smoke or sunshine on these hot takes. They were successful in convincing one judge who sits in an administrative capacity to make a decision to stay the gag order, to give the full appellate bench of 5 judges the time on full briefing, fully briefed matter, briefs filed by all sides, and an oral argument to make the decision. That's totally normal. Judges do that all the time. It doesn't tip their hand as to the merits. Judge Chutkin in D.C. stayed her gag order temporarily to allow for a full briefing. The D.C. Court of Appeals currently has a stay that they did temporarily, administratively, on an interim basis, while they decide their gag order issue against Donald Trump. So it happens. Now, there's also been some reporting that the Judge Friedman sort of had a jaundiced view, let's put it nicely, of the Attorney General's defense of the gag order. questioning why does he have to be gagged? Why he's a presidential candidate? Social media post about the clerk is fair game since the clerk posts her own social media. He didn't seem to be taking this as seriously as we would like. Hopefully, on full briefing, now that the Attorney General's office knows exactly what's in the mind of at least one of the judges, can aim for a majority of the rest of the judges and try to get the gag order reinstated. But the new reporting here is Trump sued Engoron again. Lomi is the only appliance that prevents food waste from stinking up your kitchen and polluting the planet. Now that I've invested in a Lomi, it's changed the way I deal with my food waste. Lomi is the biggest innovation in the modern-day kitchen since the dishwasher. Lomi has helped me turn my home into a climate solution. Now I can transform my organic waste into nutrient-rich Lomi earth that I can feed to my plants, lawn, or garden instead of sending it to the landfill. And as a result, I can help the environment and make my life easier. In just 4 hours, Lomi transforms almost anything you eat into nutrient-rich plant food at the push of a button. It's smart, simple food recycling that fits my space perfectly. Cut the chore of doing the trash in half and eliminate bugs and odors in your kitchen. And here's a bonus. You get to feed your lawn and garden with an all-natural fertilizer that you just created out of your own food scraps. All my food scraps, plant clippings, and even those leftovers I forgot in the back of the fridge can go back into my garden, helping me grow more nutritious food at home. I learned that food waste makes up a huge portion of our personal carbon footprint. By reducing the amount of food I send to landfill, I'm helping do my part for the planet. Whether you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden, Lomi is perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/legalaf and use the promo code legalaf to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/legalaf and use promo code legalaf at checkout. Thank you, Lomi, for sponsoring this video. Now, he's a coward. He sued Engoron in September and then withdrew the petition, as they worked out the issues, and the appellate court ultimately ruled against them and found there was no grounds to stay the trial. Remember, they wanted to stay the trial before it started. Then that failed at the appellate level. Then Ivanka Trump wanted to stay the trial before she had to testify, and that failed at the same appellate level. They ran into court and they got a temporary stay of the trial for like 7 days when it didn't matter, before the trial even started, by this same Judge Friedman. And then he later got vacated and reversed by the other people that he serves with on the panel, the 5 judges of the first department. And then the trial went forward. And now we're in week 7. The trial's going on right now with witnesses on behalf of the defense. While the gag order issue, a sideshow issue, is being battled out here, and Judge Engoron gets sued again for good measure in his official capacity. He'll be represented by the New York Attorney General. They'll argue, he's intemperate. He doesn't have the right. He's made up his mind. He doesn't want to listen to our client when he testifies, misconstruing and taking out of context statements that the judge made. Just to be clear, what the judge said was Donald Trump is not here to pontificate, give a narrative, get up on a soapbox, and keep repeating his canned speech in response to every question. He's there to answer the questions that are posed to him, and then his lawyers, of course, have the opportunity to redirect him. And so when the judge said, sort of shorthandedly, he said, I'm not here to hear your client talk. I'm here to hear him answer questions. That was true. Of course, they only take the first half of that. I'm not here to hear your client talk, and said, he's biased. Judge doesn't want to hear my client talk. Why don't you complete the sentence? And of course, the appellate record is clear about what the judge meant and what he said. And so they'll say, he's biased. He should be removed. They'll try to argue a backhanded way towards their mistrial, remove the judge, force him to stop imposing gag orders, give us back the money on the fines, all of that in this new lawsuit, which is a way, I guess, to get what's called an interlocutory appeal. Breakout session, Legal AF Law School. What you generally do if you don't like something in a courtroom is you don't sue the judge. You don't scream at the law clerk and you don't go after the judge. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time. I never did that. So I wouldn't think to do that. But they said, we're never going to get an interlocutory appeal decided in time. This trial is almost over. It is almost over. It's probably like 3 weeks away from being over. So why don't we sue the judge? It'll make for great press, and we can argue all of our points there. That's all it is. It's just a vehicle for them in suing the judge to act tough on the campaign trail, to try to push back against the media so that Haba, his whatever she is, can go on television and say, that's all we want, fair and balanced. The Attorney General has a press conference every day about the case. We want to be able to talk about the case. Talking about the case and attacking courtroom personnel and judges to try to get them killed is not the same thing. It's apples and bowling balls, but not to the Trumpers. Trumpers, everything is equal, right? Everything is on the same plane. We'll continue to report on what happens next as the New York Attorney General responds to the lawsuit against Engoron again and argues that it's not the proper use of an Article 78 mandamus procedure. I'm sure that there's nothing in there that supports compelling the judge to do or not do a darn thing except continue to sit to judge the case as the trier of fact as the case goes into the final home stretch before the judge makes the decision about the remaining 6 counts of fraud against the Trump organization, and then issues his remedies, which could include taking away all of Donald Trump's houses, buildings, money, and corporate positions. And that's what's going to happen. And all of this is sort of a sideshow. Very interesting to me, very interesting to our audience on Legal AF. But at the end of the day, it's not going to move the needle and help Donald Trump save his companies from the persistent fraud that's already been found by the judge 6 weeks ago. So come to join us on Legal AF, the curated podcast at the intersection of law, politics, and justice that we do every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you like this kind of hot take, give me a thumbs up. Keeps the ratings, keeps the show afloat, if you will. Leave a comment. I've been known to jump on and comment back. We can open up a dialogue. And then you can follow my hot takes anywhere. You can anywhere on YouTube, of course, only on the MeidasTouch network and its platform. Help free subscribe. Get them to 2 million free subscribers. Bigger they are, the more your voice is heard. And then you can go over on YouTube on playlists and you can find me, Michael Popok, and I've got 500. My whole body of work of hot takes is sitting there in real time that you can go and catch up on and binge watch. I've heard some people say, Popok, we've binge watched some of your hot takes. That'd be great. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.